My eye. This ain't supposed to happen to me. I'm trying to calm down, but there's a pencil in my eye. Have you had a test for COVID? I'm like, I'm gonna die. Have you had a COVID test? No. Y'all got supplies? Supplies? Can y'all put me to sleep and do it? I just need help. I understand completely. Let's get you in for a COVID test. Hey YouTube, it's Lish, and today I just want to say urgent care is trash. Urgent care is garbage. Like, I am never going to urgent care again. It's either the doctor's office, regular physician, or the emergency room. Like, if you're going to urgent care during this pandemic and you don't have COVID, but you're still sick, you're not about to walk out of there with any sort of resolution or understanding to why you're sick. Like, it's ridiculous. Let me start from the beginning. So it all started this past Monday, okay? I woke up and all day I felt like something was in my throat. Like, I didn't feel pain, I just felt like something was in my throat that I couldn't get rid of. Like, no matter how much I spit, TMI, sorry, no matter how much I swallowed, it was something that was in there and it was stuck. Halfway through the day, I took a flashlight on my phone and I went, and I looked back there and I saw like a white something behind my right tonsil. And I was like, yo, what is that? And I had eaten Panera the night before and I'm like, yo, I must have got a piece of bread stuck in the crevice behind my tonsil. I know that's not how it works, but Monday, that's what I was thinking. I was like, you know what? There's a piece of bread back there. I must have been chewing mad aggressive. We're gonna get it out. I got a spoon. Yes, a spoon. And I took a spoon and I stuck it way back there and tried to scrape out the piece of bread out of my throat. Wasn't working. I told my roommate about it and I was like, yo, it looks like a tooth back there. And I know it's not a tooth, so it must be a piece of bread. And she was like, oh yeah, you got strep throat. You got strep. And I was like, damn, I got the strep. She's like, damn, you got the strep. If this is strep throat, this is way more serious than trying to get a piece of bread out of my throat. I should probably get this checked expeditiously. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go to urgent care. You know, that's what urgent care is for. You can go there real quick. They can diagnose you, take care of you. Urgent care. By the time I get home tonight, I'm gonna be able to rest easy knowing nothing else is in my throat. So I go to urgent care. The doctor walks in. She looks at my throat for like 2 seconds. And she's just like,
oh, you got tonsil stones.
I said, tonsil stones?
Yeah, you got tonsil stones. Basically what happens is when you have crevices in the back of your throat, food can collect back there and bacteria can collect back there and just sit there. Yeah, they smell bad.
First of all, don't look at me like that because my breath does not stink right now. I'm not nasty, don't look at me like that. She kind of looks at me and sees the way I'm looking. She's just like, do you want me to try to get it out? I'm like, yeah. Yes, I need you to. So she was like, okay. And she got these 2 long things, probably this long. 2 of them, and they were white. And she was like,
alright, our patients don't normally let us do this because, you know, the gag reflex, but just take a deep breath and go, ah.
I said, ah. And she was just like, ah. And she couldn't get it out, right? So after irritating my throat for like a whole minute, she got nowhere. She didn't get it out. And she was like, all right, well, the tonsils are already starting to get red and irritated, so I'm not gonna keep doing this. I'm the type of person, if I need something done and you can't do it for me, best believe I'm gonna figure out a way to do it myself. They also tested for strep throat and it was negative. They offered, you know, for me to get a COVID test. When was your last COVID test? So you need to get tested for COVID. I'm like, no, I don't need to be tested for COVID. I had COVID already. I seriously doubt this is COVID. It's not. I was asked 3 times if I would like to do a COVID test, and I said no. And they sent me on my way. Went home Monday night, sticking my spoon back there, trying to get stuff out with Q-tips and trying to get it out like the doctor says some people do. Nothing was working. There was even a time when I went to the kitchen trying to find something skinnier than the spoon to stick back there. And I was like, ooh, a butter knife. I'm not putting that knife in my throat, so I didn't. Don't do that. Don't. Not safe. Whew. Woo! I woke up Tuesday morning with the worst sore throat. And I was like, ooh. Not only was my throat sore Tuesday, but when I went to look in the back of my throat, my flashlight again at the tonsil stones were having a family reunion. It had spread, and I'm like, okay, this clearly is not tonsil stones, because tonsil stones are not something that spreads. It's something that food gets stuck there and it builds. But like, it's not something that overnight is gonna jump from my right tonsil to my left tonsil. Like, no! So I was like, yo, this is not tonsil stones. Whatever this is, these white patches, they are taking over my tonsils, and I'm not comfortable with it. On my lunch break, went back to urgent care. Same urgent care. Because I wanted to look this woman in her eyes that told me it was tonsil stones, but they didn't let me see her. She probably was embarrassed because, like, you were wrong. You were wrong. And yet y'all still want me to pay for both visits, even though you... I explained the situation. I said, yeah, I was here yesterday. Y'all tested me for strep. It was negative. You already asked me 3 times for a COVID test. I said no. You said it was tonsil stones, and now it's not tonsil stones. So what is it? This know-it-all woman comes in, and she's just like,
so this is what we can do. If it's not tonsil stones, we can test again for strep. And if it's negative again, the only other thing we can do is test for COVID.
and I was just like, but it's not COVID, and it's not strep. Like, are those the only things you guys have tests for? Like, I had gone home, I had done my research, I already had a feeling that it was tonsillitis, and some sort of bacteria. I just needed confirmation and some antibiotics. That's all I needed, right? I didn't get that from them. What instead I got was a second strep test that came back negative. Then they convinced me that, hey, you should really get a mono test, because sometimes people that get mono have white patches on their tonsils. And I looked it up on Google. I'm like, pretty sure I don't have that. You know, because I don't go kissing on a bunch of random people. You know what? Since y'all are trying to figure out what it is and I'm trying to figure out what it is, go ahead, test me. They pricked my finger, took my blood, and came back and was like, yeah, no, it's not mono. Okay, cool. I could have told you that, but cool.
Well, the only other thing we can do is test for COVID.
And I said, no, they were not listening. Like, as a patient, like, yes, I don't have a medical degree, I don't. But at the same time, when I'm telling you my symptoms, even if I'm not a professional, please keep it in mind. Don't just totally disregard it, because it's really disrespectful and annoying, and you're not helping me. They asked me for like, what, the 6th time in 2 days for a COVID test. So I eventually just told them, you know what?
Fine, give me a COVID test.
Because they were making such a big deal about it. I would say no, and then they would start talking about how I really need to. And I would say no. And then they would start talking about, well, if you don't do a COVID test, there's really nothing else we can do, you know? But you might go home and you just never know if it was COVID. Like, fine! Give me the damn test! They come back with a stick like this long. And they're like,
yeah, we're gonna do a COVID test.
Wait. Hold on. I said, I've had plenty of COVID tests in my past. The sticks were not that long. She was like, yeah, well, this one, we don't go up, we go back. I said, nah. No. I said, you know what? Can I opt out? I'm gonna opt out. Like, if I need to get a COVID test, I can go to my usual place, but I'm not letting you stick this back into the middle of my head. I refuse.
It's just gonna feel like a nosebleed for a little bit.
I don't want it to feel like a nosebleed.
It's gonna feel like you got water stuck in your nose.
I don't want it to feel like I got water stuck in my nose. I just want y'all to tell me what's on my tonsils. They failed 2 times in a row and got paid for it. This is why urgent care is trash. Do not go to urgent care during a pandemic. I mean, you might just be going to urgent care because something's wrong with your arm. Maybe you stepped on it wrong and it hasn't felt the same ever since. And you go in there and they're just like, so with your arm? And you're like, yeah, crazy pain right up here. And they're gonna look at you and be like,
when was your last COVID?
So long story short, Monday felt something in my throat, went to urgent care. They said it was tonsil stones. Tuesday, it ain't tonsil stones. Started with a sore throat. Went on my lunch break back to urgent care. Did nothing for me a second time. Wednesday, the sore throat was so bad that I took off work. And the white patches on my tonsils were continuing to spread. And when I swallowed, it was so painful, to the point where every time I swallowed, it caused pain in my left ear. I had to like prepare myself, swallow, and like my eye would twitch. in my ear, like I would hold it. I just feel like I'm about to fall off my face. And you don't realize how much you swallow during the day. Like, besides just eating, like, we swallow our own saliva so much and don't even think about it. I couldn't do that. Like, it got so nasty to the point where I had to have a bag that I would spit in every so often because it was just too painful to swallow. Thursday, my mom convinced me to make a regular physician doctor appointment. I was able to schedule one real quick and went in at around 11 in the morning. The doctor, she was really nice. She did ask if I had a COVID test, which is a trigger point for me at this point. But I told her I had it and she didn't press the issue anymore. She took a look, she said it looked like bacteria, so she's prescribed me some antibiotics. But I will also say that it's never the main doctor that gets on my nerves, okay? I'm feeling good, I'm finally gonna get better. And then in comes the nurse practitioner. Even at this doctor's office, the nurses that came before and after she talked to me asked me about COVID. I mean, it's not her fault. She don't know that I've been asked like 7 times in the past few days, but I was so irritated at this point. I let them test me for COVID real quick. It was quick, but it was bad. And 10 minutes later, in walks a nurse practitioner.
So, your test for COVID was negative.
And I'm looking at her like, oh, it's negative. Oh, I guess it was negative. I told y'all it was negative. Once I got prescribed my antibiotics on Thursday and I started taking them every 8 hours, it started to go away. Me swallowing started to hurt less and less. I would say Friday it was still pretty painful, but Saturday, which was yesterday, and Sunday, which is today, like, it is still a little bit sore, my throat, and I still feel a little pain when I swallow, but it's nowhere near as painful. The white patches that were on my tonsils that were definitely not tonsil stones, those have disappeared like 80%. But of course, you want to make sure if you ever get antibiotics, you finish them all, because even if you start seeing improvement, there could still be some stubborn bacteria in there that's just waiting for you to stop too early, too soon, so it could take over and boom, you in the midst of it again. Definitely would not wish tonsillitis on my worst enemy. Or maybe I would. But anyway, urgent care, don't do it. Unless it's COVID related. If you feel like you might have COVID, sure, that is the place to go. Because I don't want you guys to waste $400 like I just did, going to urgent care twice. This past week has been trash. Just like urgent care. All right, that's all I have for y'all.